Hey, NC. Yes.
All right.
I thought that was pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, this is our third podcast.
It is. Not counting the basic little intro teaser-y one.
Right. Yeah, that wasn't a full one.
Yeah, but I had to do that so it could get us on iTunes.
Right on.
Yeah. Oh, and we're also on Stitcher now.
Stitcher.
Yeah, I don't know
What
exactly
is Stitcher?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I don't know exactly what it is, except I've heard people say, and we're on Stitcher. So we're on Stitcher. We're also on Google Play Music, and I don't even have a Google Play account. So we're, is it ubiquitous, omnipresent? We're everywhere. We're big, we're bad, we're nationwide. And we're, we're worldwide, actually. I mean.
Worldwide.
For all you know, there could be aliens listening to our podcast.
Ooh. Interesting.
Yeah, it would be. So.
I always liked that movie Fire in the Sky. It always creeped me out.
I always liked the idea that, was it the Voyager? You know,
D.B.
they have
Sweeney.
like Bach and they have the Beatles. I think they have the Beatles on it. And, you know, that there's some, you know, cephalopod or, I don't know, alien that's listening to Bach and the Beatles,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I think they should shoot like the, 400 or 500 Venables CDs I still have.
Oh, my God.
Right up into space.
They could be a weapon, though. I mean,
You saying that my CDs are weapons?
When the zombie apocalypse comes, they can be like some kind of weapon that we
can carve them into throwing stars?
So, yeah, something like that.
Sharpen them into shivs?
Sure, yeah.
So what do we got today?
We have Barbara Foushee,
Woo!
who is running for Carrboro Alderwoman, and she works in the medical technology field. So
she's molecular
so I'm
tester.
I'm interested to hear about that because I'm sure being a woman in that field and being an African American woman in that field is interesting. Had some challenges and I want to hear all about her. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'm also excited. This is like our first kind of foray, pivoting a little bit from music to local politics. I'm really happy about that, just to sort of highlight other things that go on in North Carolina, especially in our own neck of the woods. Although, don't you find it weird that we're actually, even though we're technically in Chapel Hill, we're actually closer to Carrboro mostly? Like, aren't we? We can just like down the road and you're in Carrboro. Boom, 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, it's weird. Actually, we're close. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the buffer.
Yeah.
I need to mention that Mighty Neighborly scheduled a mayoral debate between Lydia Lavelle and Mike Benson. That will be held the day this podcast comes out, which will be October the 30th. That'll be at the Cat's Cradle at 8 o'clock. It'll be free. Come on out, participate in democracy.
Yeah, and then after the debate, you said Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Right. Come for the debate. Stay for the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Sounds cool.
And so I need to get more on Frank about it, but I did send an email to him saying, "Why don't you come out on the podcast?"
Oh yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
But with Frank, you have to send him like email after email after email, and he takes it he's like so matter of fact about it, and he's like, "You send me an email, and then about 15 more come in right after that," and so it gets shoved down. So just keep sending me emails. So he's very cool about that. So
you'll see him.
Yes.
On Monday, and then Tuesday. Next Tuesday's Halloween.
Woo!
Hallows Eve.
What cool stuff is going on for it?
For Halloween?
Yeah.
Stuff I can't do because I will be in bed after my children have lots of sugar and drive me crazy with trick-or-treating. I know there are some dance parties. One day I will go at Bow Bar and Orange County Social Club. They look fun. And Station I saw. I think Kevin Clark and Michelle Temple were doing like movies, some B horror movies at the Station. That looked like a lot of fun. Things Shannon can't do. But that's okay. We are going to have a lot of fun trick-or-treating our first neighborhood out of the woods.
Right.
We have a proper neighborhood. Kids are excited.
They are. They seem to be interested in it. The candy. They love the candy.
No, I think they like dressing up too.
Yeah, I agree.
I like dressing up. I'm excited.
Yeah, I just said, we just had a friend over, and he kind of feels the same way as I do. Do you think it's like a guy thing versus a girl thing, or?
No, I know plenty of dudes that like to dress up.
I don't.
I think it's a you and him thing.
But
That's okay. I mean, that's your personality. That's cool.
I'm just so.
As long as you don't impede my happiness with dressing up, we're good. We're all good.
I would never impede your happiness.
Yeah.
Now, I would say this.
I love
it was
you, honey.
always a yes, dear. I was always stressed out by Halloween and my costume. It was like a real stress point. I would like to make a big shout out to the Garbage Man in Blacksburg, Virginia in 1978, because I had a Spock costume, and it was one of those ones that you went to the store, and it had that had a mask, and then it had that plastic costume thing that sort of fit, you fit over your street clothes. And I guess we got rid of it at some point. That guy, this is sacrilege, man. He reaches in to the trash, sees it, and then he puts the Spock mask on. And he got on the back of the garbage truck and went down the road with the Spock mask on.
That's super cool that you had a Spock mask.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I was a Spock guy.
We need to start getting the kids into Star Trek.
Yeah, Captain Kirk. I like Spock. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm cool and just passionate.
What were you gonna say about Captain Kirk?
He's just he's so dramatic.
I know the Jet and Dash would totally dig that. I think they are so dramatic, so it kind of feeds that dramatic need in their little souls.
I just thought Captain Kirk really he talks too much.
Oh, come on, he's fun.
Well, at this, and then you'd the whole running joke in the movies was Dr. McCoy being so surprised that women liked Captain Kirk, that he did so well with the ladies. I always felt like that too.
Why?
Just I don't understand. He's got no redeeming value. Yeah, What are you, a Captain Kirk girl? Did you like Captain Kirk?
I don't know. I liked both of them in different ways. I guess it was hard for me to decide. I think my mom was super into Star Trek, so I think she was a Spock girl.
Okay.
Spock.
Yeah, he was a thinking guy.
He was thinking, no nonsense.
He was.
He had cool ears. Dark hair.
Those were awesome.
He was tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah.
Maybe kind of green. He was kind of green.
Right.
My mama loved the color green, so that kind of fits with all that.
I'm trying to think of something I want to contribute to the North Carolina discussion for today. I guess the thing is that North Carolina is now early voting, depending on if you're voting for, say, in our area, we were voting for the school board.
I think it'll be closed by the time this airs, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yep.
Oh, man.
I know. It's hard to think about when we do these podcasts. We need to jump ahead of days before, to talk about things to make them fit
because it's Wednesday. It's Wednesday now.
Right.
You're not hearing this until it's Monday.
Right.
So now we have had conversations betwixt the two of us about maybe 2 per week.
We'll see how that happens.
Yeah.
We need the interest.
Do we need interest? I mean, I just do this for fun.
Well, no, I mean, we need the guests to
right.
We have to schedule that and our time and all that. So
yeah. So if you're a person who wants to be on the show, or you're a listener that's got suggestions and criticism and all that,
you could just email. Be a friend that wants to talk to us. Yes, we've got email. HeyNCPod at gmail.com. Hey, that was a nice segue.
I thought that was good. Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll be back in a little bit with.
Yeah, we don't really have to say that.
Well, I don't want to say.
We don't have to say we'll be back. There's no commercial break, honey.
Well, that's okay. All right.
Say. Oh.
I'm trying to think of the Head and Shoulders
be a minute
with Fran Tarkenton.
Like so hopefully. Yeah.
So coming up.
Yes.
How's
there
that?
You go. I like that. I like that. Coming up.
So coming up, Barbara Foushee.
Foushee.
Shoot.
It's okay.
I'm trying to.
You got it. It's good.
Okay.
It's cool.
Okay. All right. Coming up, Barbara Foushee, and we're back
with Barbara Foushee. I had to say this. You'll hear this on the podcast. For some reason, I thought it was Foushee. I've been thinking it's been Foushee.
It's my fault.
It's Foushee.
Yeah, so.
It's fine.
Candidate for alder, what is that, alderperson?
Alderperson, alderfolk,
I know.
alderwoman.
Oh, I like alderfolk.
Alderfolk is good.
Yeah.
I was kind of like board of aldermen. I mean, and they're not all men. Why don't they just say alderperson?
Oh, right. The majority of the board is actually women.
Huh.
Nice.
So you're a candidate.
Yes.
Oh, hold on.
Hey, Daddy.
Yes.
George.
Okay. Can you go upstairs? This is our special guest, Dashiell Venable, all three. He's now bum rushing the show. Go upstairs. Thank you.
He's got George the cat outside, neighbor's cat.
So I see you were born in Eastern Carolina, so you're not a Carrboroite by birth, I guess. Where are you from in Eastern Carolina?
I'm from Duplin County.
Okay.
Down east. It's about an hour from Wilmington.
Okay.
Yeah, we drive past it, through it, every time
Yeah.
we go to the beach,
It's
right?
the last
Yeah.
rest stop before you get to the beach.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the one with the wine, right? It's always
Duplin Winery is in Duplin County. Yep.
So you came here, you came to the Triangle to go to St. Augustine? Is
Yeah, I came for college in 1982 and have just been in the Triangle ever since. I've lived in Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and then finally Carrboro.
Oh,
Been
okay.
in Carrboro about 19 years.
Wow.
Okay. So you came out of St. Aug's, and then you became was it a molecular technologist, a medical technologist?
I am a senior technologist in the molecular oncology lab right now.
Oh, okay.
But I've always been a medical technologist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've worked in different places. I've worked at Duke. I've worked at UNC.
Okay.
I've done some research. I've done quality control. So always been lab related.
Oh,
Very
okay.
cool.
Work.
My dad is a former medical technologist.
Okay.
Yeah, he lived, 40 years in a lab. Yeah.
I'm right at 30,
Wow.
31. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what brought you to the idea of, I guess, your spirit of volunteerism, like with OWASA and, being, I guess, a recording secretary for the Orange County NAACP? And
Chapel Hill, Carrboro.
Mm-hmm. What kind of motivated you to do that instead of just sort of getting up and doing your technologist gig and going home and watching TV?
So I got a spirit of service through my sorority, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. I have been a member since 1985. I did pledge, and it was pledging back then when I was in college. And now I'm a graduate and alumni member, and we focus purely on community service. And so my service journey started actually when I was in college. And just, over the years, just got to be more and more. My mother was with me for a long period of time until she passed in 2011. And then my service work picked back up because it had waned off some because I spent so much time caring for her when I wasn't working. And I was busy. I just only had time for her.
Right.
But after she passed, I really just kind of dove back into community service in different areas.
So what made you hear the call to be an alderfolk?
Yeah, so when I think back on my decision, I feel like it's a natural progression. I'm currently serving on 2 boards and understand how a board functions, and just how we pretty much need to come to a consensus for the greater good of the whole community. I had several people to ask me to run, and continue to ask me to run.
So you got nagged into it.
Yeah,
Oh, fine,
I
I'll
just kinda
run.
got nagged into it, and I think what really kind of tipped me over was when I got word that Michelle Johnson was leaving the board. And I realized what a void that would be when we talk about minority representation on the board. And it started to really just kind of sink in a little bit deeper, and I started to think deeper about it and the impact that I could have just by joining the board with my community activism experience.
What do you love about Carrboro?
I love everything about Carrboro, but I mainly love the people. There's very vibrant culture going in Carrboro in many different areas. And that is the thing that I love about Carrboro the most. I don't feel like the character of Carrboro comes through any type of building or anything like that. I think it comes through the people in Carrboro. I think they bring the character alive in Carrboro.
What do you see as the biggest hurdle that Carrboro faces? That, whether, the older people can take it on as a challenge, as an issue, and resolve it, or just, this one thing impacts the people of Carrboro the most, and you'd like to see it through?
In my community conversations, I've talked to a lot of people in the community, and 98% of the time, affordability comes up.
Absolutely.
And affordable housing. People have talked about, maintaining and improving the biking infrastructure because we're a big bike community. But affordability and affordable housing have come up a lot as it relates to the taxes and the burden that the property owners bear as far as paying property taxes. The commercial tax base is probably about 20%. And I would like to see us improve. I don't think it's ever going to be 50-50. We're just not set up for that. But I think, we could add, some more commercial. I think every little bit helps to ease that burden. So I would say affordability and affordable housing, which they kind of go together.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at your platform page, and the affordable housing is a big deal. We just bought this house, so we're well aware of the affordability of housing and how rare that is, and we're relatively fortunate. So yeah, how do you plan on addressing the housing, shortage for middle class to lower income folks?
So affordable housing takes money, and the town does have an affordable housing fund. I would like to see more money go into that fund on a yearly basis over time. Of course, after, checking to see what the budget impact would be, by adding more money to the fund. And also community review. I think it's good to have the community to weigh in, on things like that. Stronger collaborations with these nonprofits like Community Home Trust, which they're doing a good job, fabulous job already. CASA, Chapel Hill, Orange County. And we have to also make sure that in our land use ordinances and the inclusionary zoning policies, make sure there's nothing systemic in there that's preventing us from doing more affordable housing. The land use ordinances is the Bible, for planning and zoning. So we just have to make sure that there's nothing standing in the way of us doing more affordable housing as it relates to zoning and planning. So those are my thoughts about affordable housing. It's easier said than it's easier said than done, and I mean it just the majority of the board has to have an appetite for it. You know?
Yeah, particularly your Carrboro is the town manager. So how does that interplay work with the Board of Alderman, the mayor, and the manager to come up with some kind of consensus?
So the mayor, to my understanding, and since I'm an outsider looking in, I've kind of been on the fringes of local government, but the town manager kind of follows the direction of the mayor and the board. The board follows the direction of the mayor, and it just kind of works like that, as far as what issues, to work on, what to put where, what to bring up when. All that, I think, comes with Mayor Lavelle. Right. I think it kind of starts with her, and the manager, of course, he kind of falls in line with them, with the mayor and the board.
Okay. Now, additionally, this is a question I actually just had out of personal curiosity. Is the mayor the chair of the board during the meetings, the Board of Aldermen? Because I see lots of pictures of the Board of Aldermen and Mayor Lavelle is right there, just kind of, hey.
Yeah, so what I see with Mayor Lavelle and what I love about the way she does things is she facilitates the discussion, between the aldermen. She absolutely would be a tiebreaker if necessary.
Oh, okay.
We had, if it was like 3-3.
Oh, I get you. She's like the vice president.
Yeah,
of the Senate.
she would probably be like a tiebreaker. But I like the way she facilitates discussion with the other board members, and then then she'll weigh in. She'll say, "Oh, well, I have a couple of questions," or "This is what I think." But she rarely starts out that way. She always lets the alderman weigh in first, and then she just kind of comes in.
Okay.
So
Oh, I am probably going to jump around from, you know, what you're running for, which is awesome, and I love your dedication to serving in local government. I am interested in, since I have you here, I'm interested in, like, there's almost this legacy. You, your husband, Braxton, I don't know, would she be your sister-in-law?
Senator Foushee?
Yeah. It's like...
Okay, so me and Senator Foushee we married into the Foushee name.
Right.
So our husbands are related.
Right, they're brothers.
They're cousins.
Oh, cousins.
Yeah, they're cousins. They're not brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how that is.
That's like a Russian
But
novel.
still, I mean,
Family
there
relationship.
is this sense of civil rights activism, social activism, service, and I mean, I don't know that there's another person in my family that dedicates their time kind of like that to serving locally and pushing things and really making a difference in that regard. Are there other people within the family, and I guess how, is it just like part of the family?
I think
that this is just, the bond, and this is the purpose, and
I think it's all coincidental.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, there is no other Foushee that is interested.
it kind of sounds
in
romantic,
politics,
though, when you hear
right
the
now.
Foushee name,
Right now, Senator Foushee, she does have 2 sons, but I don't see any of them,
Yeah.
either one of them being interested, in politics.
Well, how did you and Braxton meet?
Braxton and I met at church.
Like, were you in college, or this is out of college?
This was out of college.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Braxton and I, we've only been married for going on 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we haven't been married that long, but I mean, it's long enough, and it seems like longer than that. But I don't mean that in a bad
No.
way.
We understand.
Yeah, our relationship is very seasoned, and we understand each other very well, and we understand our community and what our community needs, and where it's lacking, and we understand that very well, and we both try to put ourselves in places where we can be helpful and have good impact.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I was looking up Braxton just a little bit, too, because, I talked with...
You need to have Braxton on the podcast.
Right. And I
Yeah,
saw,
that'll be another-
he had his own, a political history as helping integrate Franklin Street and other places, as well as being a board in the alderman. Did he have, like, any words of encouragement or advice, or was he like, you do your thing?
So he has really stood back throughout the campaign. People know that we're married. But he's kind of stood back because he's like, I don't want to overshadow what you're doing, or even like really be tied to it in that way, as far as people thinking I'm, kind of giving you advice, or doing whatever. But the main thing he consistently tells me is to stay true to yourself and to your values. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what he has said throughout the whole process, and just been very helpful and supportive at home.
Yeah.
And he has a history because he grew up here. He knows the politics in Carrboro. I would be crazy if I did not at least go to him sometime and say, hey, what is this? I don't understand what this is. What do you think? And he'll tell me.
Of course.
And then he'll leave it to me to go with it, whichever direction I go. So in that sense, he's just been really helpful and supportive. He's a walking history book. What?
It sounds like a very savvy politician to leave well enough alone.
Yeah,
too,
he just kind of does. He's just like, this is what it is, and this is the history of it. You do with it what you're going to do with it. Think what you're going to think. Use it the way you want to use it.
He's a wise man.
Yeah, so he doesn't
tell you what
Yeah,
to do.
he doesn't.
I don't think anybody can tell you what to do.
He doesn't do that. He doesn't push anything on me like that. He's not that kind of guy.
Who inspires you?
Oh my God! In this community,
Right now, you can change that answer for the next day, right? But who's inspiring you right now? Who are you feeling?
Who's inspiring me right now are community members that are coming out to support me, volunteering at the polling sites, checking in, seeing what I need, sharing stuff about me on social media, just really trying to look for ways to move the needle for me and the campaign. Those folks are inspiring me right now because it says to me, hey, I believe in you. I believe in your ability to do this job in a logical, reasonable, just manner.
Yeah.
So they're inspiring me right now because this is, it's less than 2 weeks.
Right.
So this is really a critical time to get people to the polls to vote and to vote for me.
Right.
All right.
So I'm inspired by my campaign team as well. They're stepping up their game, helping out and stuff. So I am inspired by my supporting cast because they're holding me up right now.
I'm excited for you being a voice on the Carrboro Alderman. Alderwoman.
Alderfolk.
Alderfolk,
I love
yeah.
like
the
Alderfolk.
I do too.
Uh-huh.
We need shirts.
Because it encompasses everybody. Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
So, what you mentioned sort of as an African American wanting to have that representation. What do you feel that is sort of a priority for less represented communities in Carrboro?
Can you say that question again?
Sure. What do you think is a priority for less represented communities
okay.
in Carrboro?
So I think the priority again goes back to affordability and affordable housing.
Okay.
Not having enough affordable housing impacts who we see in the community, who we don't see.
Mm-hmm.
And we do know that the numbers for people of color have declined over the years.
Right.
And I do think affordability and housing and stuff has played into that. Some people would probably just moved away just to go somewhere else. But I feel it impacts the diversity in our community, and I just think it's important that somebody be at the table. I'm not saying that the other aldermen don't advocate,
Right.
but it's just different, when the person actually comes to the table. It's kind of like the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
Lydia is the mayor.
Yes.
We know she is going to advocate for as long as she's in the seat.
Right.
Same thing for Damon. We know that.
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing, for me, just continuing to advocate, and not just for people that look like me, but for Latinos, Burmese, any of the
Women.
more underrepresented, marginalized, that word, population. So that's what I'm thinking, to help and continue to advocate, but we'll advocate for everybody. But, in the community, we all know that there are some folk, who need more advocating for than others, depending on what the issues are.
Absolutely. Well, so I am taking, the Racial Equality Institute.
You're going through REI.
Yeah. So I am doing this course on Saturday about, groundbreaking equality and how to incorporate that into your conversations in your life, and to kind of open your eyes to what you're conditioned to seeing in your life, and what is there's a bias, racial bias. And definitely, I may have I don't know how I'm trying to word this. My brain is kind of maybe too much coffee today. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, just because, even though I'm white and I may be very liberal and very, have a different perspective than maybe some people, I definitely am not. I haven't experienced certain things. Me as a woman, I think it's hard for men to know what it's like to experience sexual harassment on a very daily basis, or just being overlooked as a woman in job settings and things like that. They don't really get it. They can be sympathetic to it, but they just don't really get it and understand. So I definitely think those seats at the table need to be open for different people, so it's not just all, one color on there. It makes a difference.
It does.
It really does.
Because it brings a different perspective.
Well, and I mean, when I think about it, I mean, when I think Barack Obama was our president, you have children looking at this leader, and they are the same color as their skin. You know, I mean, it just sets the tone for and changes the conversation and opens it up in different ways. You know, it's not just, ooh, you know, we are thinking about all these different marginalized, you know, populations, and we're trying to, you don't get that same perspective, you know. Yeah.
The priorities are different, I think, for different people on the board. It just depends on which one you talk to.
Yeah.
You know, people in their own minds, you know, they formulate what's important for the community, what they feel is important for the community. But every now and then, you know, we need to be reminded about some things that aren't being done, and some things that aren't being talked about or addressed.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we got, I guess, maybe about 5 minutes. Is there anything you want to really sum up, Barbara? Besides vote Foushee.
Vote for Barbara Foushee.
That's right.
For the Carrboro Board of Alderman. So I will just say that I do believe in a diverse civic participation and leadership. I do like my role as the secretary of the Chapel Hill Carrboro NAACP because it involves disseminating information, and I just like for people to know what's happening in the community. You know, opportunities, you know, and just things that are going on. Because a lot of times people just, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was going on. Everybody's not tied to their phone. Everybody's not tied to the internet. And I would also like to see the town, and I think they're working on a new communication plan, but we got to get beyond the boardroom and the emails and really, like, reach people that we're not seeing. And I think that's just going to involve going out to community groups on occasion, having maybe some town halls every quarter.
Oh, I like that.
You know, reporting from the town of Carrboro, you know, about, hey, this is what we've been working on last 3 months. If elected, that's something I'm gonna move towards, because I just feel like it's a good way to just let people know, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're working on, look for it, you know, coming to you soon. You know, because if you don't come to the board meetings, a lot of time people just don't know. They have no idea what's that. They'd be like, they did what? We're having what? And I mean, you know, not necessarily what the decisions they're making are bad, but it's just like, I just like for people to know.
Absolutely.
You know, and just have a chance to weigh in if they want to weigh in, come to a public hearing, you know, whatever is going on.
Make it inclusive.
Yeah, it seems like social media became like, for a minute, it was like, how do we enhance already campaigning, to the point where then it became like, this is exactly how we're going to campaign. And it sort of made sense, but it's so passive. And, you know, in Carrboro, geez, you probably know more about what band is playing on what night than you do about the minutes of the Board of Aldermen. You have to go to the website for that. And most people, especially on the internet, if you don't make it really convenient, it ain't happening.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, I think they're working on the website too. Sometimes you have on the website, you have to dig deep for what you're looking for and know where to go and how to navigate it. And some people, like you just said, they get frustrated and they're just like, ugh, you know. I'm not one of those people. I will continue to navigate and dig until I find what I'm looking for.
Me too.
So you think you're going to have sort of a meet with alder folk Foushee?
I know for me that's something that I would do because I am very active with the local NAACP, who, by the way, won Chapter of the Year at the state conference.
Yay! Congratulations.
So we're real excited about that. So if elected, I do plan to continue to tie in, you know, with other community groups. I think that's important.
And we're going to let Dash have the last word about pumpkins. So what do you say about pumpkins?
Hey, Dashel, you want to say Happy Halloween? Right here.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, you want to go home with me?
And
if you had a pumpkin to carve, you see he's got his carving kit ready.
Well, wait. Oh, y'all haven't got the pumpkin yet.
We have
them.
the
We don't want to carve them yet. We learned last year and the year before that if we carve them too early, they start melting, especially in this heat. Our pumpkins.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to call it an evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.